Okay, so let's dive in. We've got some really fascinating ancient source material today.
Yeah, we're looking at excerpts from the Rig Veda, specifically hymns 167 through 182.
Right. And this is quite a deep dive we're planning.
It really is. This stuff gives you such a direct window, doesn't it, into how people thought thousands of years ago, what they cared about, how they saw their world.
Absolutely. So our mission really is to explore these specific hymns. We want to sort of unpack what they tell us about the gods they worshipped, about the people themselves.
Their beliefs, their worries.
Yeah, exactly. Their day-to-day concerns, all based purely on what's in these texts.
And it's quite a mix. You got prayers, descriptions of the gods, sometimes pretty intense descriptions and stories about what they did. It's a real glimpse.
Okay, so where should we start? Indra and the Maruts seem pretty central in a lot of these.
Yeah, definitely. Indra comes across very strongly. He's clearly a major player.
How so? What kind of descriptions do we get?
Well, he's the warrior, the king. The texts call him things like king of all the gods, lord of bays, victory giver, even master of all treasures. Oh, and bull of man, very powerful epithets.
Bull of men, wow. And that tells you something about what they valued, right? Strength, leadership, someone who delivers.
Exactly. He's the source of help, wealth, victory. It's very practical.
And you see that in the prayers.
Oh, absolutely. Like in CLX 7, they're asking for 1,000 helps and hoping precious goods come nigh to us in thousands. They're not shy about asking for tangible things.
So he's the go-to guy for, well, success in life.
Pretty much. But then you've got the Maruts.
Ah, yes, the storm gods.
Right. Usually a group, like an army. And the language used for them is just incredible, so dynamic.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, so they're called a glittering army. Shakers down of food and light. They're armed with lightning spears. They rush from heaven's floor. It's very visceral.
You can almost hear it. Doesn't it mention rivers roaring?
It does. Rivers roar before your chariot fellies, and lightnings laugh, and they scatter forth their fatness, which is probably, rain. Nourishing rain.
But also potentially terrifying, I imagine.
Definitely. They're described as terrific, glittering, and swiftly moving. There's a real sense of power, maybe even danger.
So what does that say about how these people saw nature? Powerful forces, obviously.
Huge respect, maybe fear, too. These are forces that bring life-giving rain, but also destruction. They couldn't control it, but it was essential to their survival.
And the relationship between them and Indra, it's complicated.
It really is. It's not straightforward. Sometimes they're clearly allies. Indra orders the Marut host around in one hymn.
Right, CL@X.
Yeah, and they give gifts together. Indra even speaks kindly with them sometimes. But there's friction, too. We have this figure, Agastya, a sage.
He pops up a few times here.
Yes, and he actually pleads with Indra not to kill the Maruts.
Wow, so real conflict.
Seems like it. Indra's wrath against the Maruts is mentioned. And Agastya himself says he feels terror from this mighty Indra.
So what could that tension represent, do you think? Is it just divine soap opera or something more? Like order versus chaos, kingship versus wild nature?
It could be all of those things. It probably had multiple layers of meaning for them. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. And their actions reflect this too. Indra does big things.
Oh, yeah. Indra's credited with humbling tribes, breaking forts, stirring up floods. He gets involved directly in human affairs.
Helping allies, defeating enemies.
Exactly. Giving a foe to Purakutsa, stealing a chariot wheel from Sarya, helping Kutsa against Susna. He even made Earth a covering for the Dasa, a group seen as enemies, and brought this guy Kuivak home just to slay him.
So a very active interventionist god.
Very much so. Bringing people safely across floods too, like Turvaga and Yadu.
And the Maruts, what are their specific actions?
Well, they can overwhelm enemies, compass around their foemen like an ocean. They cast down firm things, bring that glittering water flood from the mountains.
The power of the storm again?
Right. They can also overthrow the sinner, and importantly, they're seen to make our prayer effective.
So appealing to them helps your prayers overall.
That seems to be the idea. Though there's a line saying they shouldn't harm transgenders folk, suggesting some limits or specific relationships, but they also have the power to lift ye us up that we may live.
So forces of destruction, but also potential saviors.
A powerful duality. And then there's Radasi.
Right. She appears with the Maruts. Tell us about her.
She's described as a young maid, associated with them, someone they wish for as a friend and fellow.
What's she like?
The hymns praise her quite highly. She's immortal, has a heroic spirit. She's compared to Surya, the sun god, in her brightness. Mighty in assemblies, even.
Mighty in assemblies. That's quite a description for a female figure associated with this, well, band of storm gods. What does she add to the picture?
It adds another layer, doesn't it? Maybe beauty, divine light alongside their raw power. Makes them more complex than just storm deities.
And throughout all these hymns about Indra and the Maruts, there's a constant theme in the prayers.
Oh, absolutely. It's striking how often it comes up.
What is
Basic survival needs, offspring, food, abundance. That phrase, strengthening food in full abundance, it's everywhere. Coelix 7, Coelix 8, Coelix...
all the way through CLXE, even into the later ones?
Yeah. It really hammers home what was fundamentally important to these people.
It grounds all the mythology, doesn't it? Life was about making sure you had enough food, that your family continued, that you were safe.
Exactly. These are very practical prayers rooted in daily anxieties. And you see other gods mentioned too, connected to Indra and the Maruts.
Like who?
Mitra, Varuna, Aryama, asked to guard from censure. Agni, the fire god, shines brightly. Vayu, the wind. Prisni, sometimes called the Marut's mother. Robuksan, too.
So it's a whole interconnected divine world.
Definitely. And the belief is clear. You need their favor to navigate the challenges of life.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Away from the storms and battles, we also have the Asvins in these hymns.
Right, the Asvins, they bring a different kind of energy.
How so? What are they associated with?
Primarily morning, dawn, speed, but also sweetness, healing, restoration.
Healing. That's interesting.
Yes. Their coursers travel everywhere. They attend the mornings. Their chariot wheels scatter moisture while they're drinking the sweetness. There's a story reference where they made intense heat sweet for Atri, presumably saving him.
So comfort, relief, maybe even a bit magical.
You could say that. Their car wheels are like springs of honey. They even send understanding.
Understanding, like wisdom.
Perhaps insight or clarity. And their chariot gets a lot of description too, like the Maruts, but it feels different.
How is it described?
It's flying, has golden fellies. Those are wheel rims that are never injured. It's pulled by strong steeds, moves like a rushing torrent, but it's also broad-seated, wholly strong and thought-swift. The seat itself is down-gliding, golden-colored.
Thought swift. So instant rescue. Reliable, maybe. Golden. Holy. It sounds very benevolent.
That's the sense you get. They're swift, dependable saviors. Their main role seems to be bringing gifts, support, strengthening people.
What kind of gifts?
The prayers ask them to support and strengthen, give your gifts, guard the man whose God is near him. Also specific things like give good horses to sacrificers, give them treasures, give protection.
So providers, like Indra, but maybe less about conquest and more about rescue and well-being.
That seems fair. Healing and support versus raw power. And Agastya pops up again, interacting with them.
What does he do?
He apparently roused them with 1,000 lauds, intense prayers to win the very plenteous torrent.
Suggesting human effort is needed to get their attention, maybe?
It reinforces that idea of reciprocity, doesn't it? Offer devotion, get divine aid. There's also this interesting description of them in CLXEIY.
What does it say?
It talks about them singing together with bodies free from stain, and then it distinguishes them. One of you, Prince of Sacrifice, the victor, the other counts as heaven's auspicious offspring.
So maybe different roles or origins within the pair, one linked to ritual, the other more inherently divine.
Possibly. It hints at a complexity there. And one other thing, they explicitly exclude someone.
Ooh.
The niggard trafficker.
The stingy person.
Yeah, the ungenerous one. They don't get the Asvin's help.
So generosity, maybe especially in sacrifice or community, was important to get their favor.
Seems very likely. They favor the givers.
Okay, now, let's talk about him, CLXEDX. This one is, well, it's quite different from the others we've discussed.
It really stands out, doesn't it? The notes we have say it's about Rati, or love, and it features Lopamudra and Agastya.
AEST again, but this feels much more personal.
Deeply personal. It starts with Lopamudra's voice, her lament.
What does she say?
She talks about her hard work over many autumns, how old age impairs the beauty of our bodies. It's very direct, very human.
And she complains about Agastya.
Yes, about his coldness. She pleads for husbands to come near unto their spouses. She even says that past lawgivers talked about this closeness but didn't achieve it, and urges wives to approach their husbands now.
Wow. That's incredibly candid, expressing desire, frustration about aging, intimacy in a sacred text like this.
It's remarkable. Then we get Agastya's response, though our source gives it in Latin.
What does it translate to?
Something like, Not useless is labor favored by the gods. Let us overcome in this fight of 100 arts.
A fight of 100 arts. What does he mean? Their marriage or something else?
It's ambiguous. Maybe he sees their relationship or some spiritual effort as a struggle that needs divine help to succeed.
Then the description shifts back to Lopamudra, again in Latin.
Yes, it translates to something like, desire seized me for that bull. Lopamudra draws the bull to her. That foolish one absorbs the wise one panting.
Okay, the bull. That's striking imagery. Yeah, that gets to you?
Probably representing Agastya, yes. Bull imagery often signifies strength, virility, divine power in these texts, so her desire is for that potent, wise energy. The foolish one absorbs the wise one part is, well, very open to interpretation.
It really is. And what happens next? Augusta's actions.
Also described in complex, possibly symbolic ways, again, the source uses Latin, we hear about him drawing back, not approaching the daughter.
The daughter. Who's that, Lopamudra? Or someone else?
It's unclear, it might be symbolic,
Yeah.
but then significantly, he effuses seed on the earth.
On the earth, not with Lopamudra.
Apparently not in that moment. There's talk of a bull-like action and him leaving, lamenting a useless complexus or embrace. But the source notes add something important,
What's that?
that Agastya was wishing for children, progeny, and power, and actually did get his prayer fulfilled through this whole process.
So even though the seed went onto the earth, it was still somehow productive.
It seems so. And the text links this act directly to the divine. It says, after the seed was on the earth again, translating from the Latin provided, then the benevolent gods advanced the prayer and formed Vastoshpati, the keeper of sacred laws.
Vastushpati, the god of the home, of order.
Exactly. So out of this very personal, maybe frustrated physical encounter, something cosmic or foundational happens. The gods create this deity associated with sacred order and the dwelling place.
How do we make sense of that? It feels like a huge leap. The notes mentioned a mystical interpretation.
Yes. That suggests we shouldn't read it just literally.
Yeah.
Maybe Agastya represents divine essence, like the sacred soma drink, and Lopamudra is the fervent prayer or ritual effort trying to draw it down.
Ah, so the fight is the ritual effort.
Could be. And the seed on the earth might symbolize a fertility rite or a cosmic creation act that benefits everyone by establishing order, embodied by Vastoshpati. The personal drama becomes an allegory for ritual or cosmic creation.
That completely changes the perspective. It makes it less about marital strife and more about how the world works, ritually speaking.
It's a plausible way to read such complex symbolism. And the hymn ends by shifting again, doesn't it?
Yeah, the last stanza talks about fire, about keeping Wakasas like demons away, and about the upholder of the right being born and overcoming enemies.
Which seems to loop back to protection. The power of ritual to maintain order and safety, maybe linking the whole Agastya-Lopamudra story back to the community's well-being. It really shows how layered these texts can be.
Okay, so let's pull back. We've looked at Indra, the Maruts, the Asvins, this really unique Radi hymn. Taking this whole selection, CLX7, the CLX2, what does it tell us overall about how these ancient people saw their relationship with the divine?
Well, it shows a world where the divine is absolutely crucial and very much involved, not distant at all, involved in nature, war, healing, even personal life.
And the main concerns driving people to connect with these gods seem very fundamental.
Incredibly so. It comes back again and again to physical needs, food, safety from enemies, having children to continue the family line, survival, basically.
And the way to get the gods' help was through
Action, human action, offering prayers, praises, hymns like these, and presumably the rituals that went with them. It's a reciprocal relationship. You give devotion, you hope for blessings and protection in return.
The imagery is just so vivid, too.
Yeah.
The terrifying storms, the swift golden chariot, the complex symbolism of the Radi hymn. It shows they perceive the divine in many different ways.
Powerful, sometimes scary, sometimes benevolent, but always capable of affecting human life profoundly.
So this deep dive really gives you a powerful sense of an ancient worldview. It's rooted in those fundamental struggles for, sustenance and survival. People seeking help from these immense forces through devotion, through ritual.
Yeah. It's a reminder, isn't it, that while the names change, the forms change, those basic human needs for safety, for food, for family, for meaning, and the desire to connect with something bigger, that often stays remarkably constant across time.
Absolutely. It makes you think, doesn't it? These ancient hymns are so focused on practical needs, food, safety, children. What does it mean that texts this old zero in on these core struggles for survival? And, how might thinking about that shape how you view what you hope for or strive for today?